We are joined now by GameSpot UK's Mark Walton, the proud owner of a new iPhone 4, as well as a collection of new games that have been specifically designed for the redesigned Jesus phone. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hello, Guy.
So you've got your sweaty palms on the new iPhone.
I do indeed.
So the headline features for gamers are pretty much the improved screen and the new gyroscope.
That's right. I mean, if you start with the screen, it's now a 960 by 640 screen, which is a really high resolution. It's something Apple are calling the Retina display. Whether you believe their marketing spiel or not, in that the human eye can't distinguish the pixels, it's a very good looking display and is one of the best I've seen on a smartphone. So
the idea is that the pixels are packed in so tight that you can't actually distinguish.
Exactly. They're incredibly tiny pixels. I think the interesting thing about this is if you take a screenshot of it or of a game and put it on a regular monitor, it looks massive. Which is just amazing how much they've crammed into it, to be honest.
Interesting. And you were saying to me earlier that the new gyroscope is like the jump from the original Wii to Wii Motion Plus.
Exactly. So the original iPhone had an accelerometer, which they used for games, much like the Wii remotes did. The Motion Plus added a gyroscope to it, which is what they've done here. And now you can have full one-by-one tracking on all the games you play. It makes it much more accurate.
Cool. So you've downloaded a couple of games that have been specifically designed, or improved at least, for the iPhone 4.
Yep.
The first is Gun Range, and the second is Real Racing. I've definitely seen Real Racing before, but they're both improved by the...
Absolutely. So, Gun Range is quite a simple game. You essentially just use the phone to aim the gun, using the accelerometer and the gyroscope. So you can select your first gun, which here, is an M60.
My gun of choice.
Gun of choice,
yeah,
of course, the M60. And then you can jump into a level, and essentially all you do is you kind of hold the phone like that.
As if you're
aiming with a gun, and then you kind of just shoot by tapping the screen, and then it's one-by-one tracking, so wherever you point it, it kind of moves across to it, which is very cool. And I mean, it's more of a proof of concept, this game, than anything else. It's not a full game. I don't think you're going to get too much out of it, but you can see what they can do with the technology that's now in the phone, and the graphics look great as well.
Yeah. I mean, you're much better at this than I was doing earlier. So you can download it. It's just basically a series of gun ranges that get harder and harder. The targets are moving.
Yeah, that's right. So they move faster. Some of them become more distant as you go through all the levels. You have to kind of hit more of them in the allotted amount of time, which I think is about a minute per level. Mm-hmm. So like it starts off with where you have to hit like 15, and then later on you have to hit 30. And so on. It just gets faster and faster, progressively more difficult.
So you like it? It's improved.
Yeah, it definitely. It shows what you can really do with this. And I think if we get a Call of Duty or something on here, we're using this.
Only a matter of time.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be really good.
The second game is Real Racing, which is obviously a racing game, and you hold the control like you would a steering wheel, I guess, like the.
Exactly. So I mean, a lot of the iPhone games before did this, where you could steer with this, but what's added by the gyroscope is much more accurate, basically. So yeah, it's the same thing. You kind of, it auto accelerates for you. You tap on the screen to brake, and you just kind of steer with the screen like that. Again, with the iPhone 4, you've got much higher resolution graphics as well. It looks really great. I think we're kind of almost getting to PSP level in terms of graphics here.
I'd say this. I mean, this looks amazing. This game.
Yeah.
Graphically.
It's really good. And this game's got a full career mode that you can play. There's like license missions which you have to go through first, a bit like Gran Turismo, and there's tons of cars you can buy as well. It's a really good example of what people can do with the hardware and the gyroscope and the accelerometer and things like that.
I think personally, from my experience, I preferred this game to the other one. It just feels a little bit more natural. It still takes some getting used to actually control the car.
Absolutely.
It's like you kind of always just correct.
I think it's once you find, I think you kind of have to find the center point, and I think once you've nailed finding that center point, it becomes much easier. And as part of that is when the game loads up, it calibrates, so you kind of have to hold the phone as to how you're going to play the game in the first place, otherwise it will calibrate it wrong.
All right, good stuff. I've got the old iPhone, the last, it's the previous generation, iPhone 3G, not the 3GS.
No, that's a 3G.
And we've both installed Angry Birds on here, the perennial favourite for the iPhone. We're just going to show how fast the new hardware is, because it's got a pretty fast processor in there. It's the same
Absolutely.
as the
This
iPad.
has got the same processor in it as the iPad. It's slightly underclocked compared to that, obviously to save battery life and things, but it is noticeably faster than even the 3GS.
Cool. Well, let's give it a go. All right, so Mark's got the iPhone 4, I've got the iPhone 3G. Let's jump into Angry Birds. Go. You're in.
I'm in.
I'm there now. So there's a delay of a couple of seconds there.
I'm done.
You're done.
Ready to play.
I'm still loading here. Come on. It's Angry Birds. Get my Angry Birds on, and I'm in. So that was a massive delay there.
Yeah.
So it's much snappier in general. I mean, the iPhone interface in general was pretty snappy, but loading games has always been like the most processor intensive.
Absolutely, like, you know, I'm quite the Peggle fiend, and that 30 seconds I had to wait on the tube to get into Peggle, gone.
Yeah. You're in there straight away. And I'm in straight into Angry Birds, which I love. All right, so thanks very much for that, Mark. In general, you recommend the device? Is it worth upgrading if you've got the old model?
If you've got a 3G or the original iPhone, absolutely. If you've got a 3GS, I would say less so, because the 3GS is still very, very fast phone. Unless you want some of the new design or maybe the better camera, then it's the only reason to do it, really.
Cool. You've got the 16 gig model there. How much is it, and how much roughly were the games you downloaded?
So the phone on its own, out of contract, the 16 gig is £499. The 32 is £599.
Ouch.
Yes.
So you went for the smaller model.
I went for the smaller model. I couldn't spring for the extra £100 there. The games on the App Store are always relatively cheap. The gun range game's 59p. Real Racing, as it's much more in-depth game, is £2.99. But I still think that's absolutely worth it.
All right, thanks very much, Mark. Remember, you can check out our complete rundown of the iPhone 4 over on GameSpot. Just head over to tinyurl.com/GSiPhone4.